Alright, what's up guys? Today we are doing another deck profile on Dream Mirrors. They've recently received a ton of new support through Chaos Impact. The deck is very viable now. They went in a direction I totally didn't expect. They went into the fusion direction, which I didn't even see coming at all. But the deck is incredibly interesting. It's very interesting to play. It has some of the best art in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! Let's just get started with this deck profile. First, we have the level 1 monster. So this deck is incredibly, very fun to play. It's one of the most enjoyable decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! Honestly, right now. So the Dream Mirror monsters always have two effects. They have an effect that activates when they are special summoned off the effect of a Dream Mirror monster. And then their second effect is during the main phase or the battle phase, and this is a quick effect, you contribute your Dream Mirror monster and then special summon its opposite attribute, I guess, like counterpart, if you have the appropriate field spell. So if you have, for example, the light and you have the dark field spell, you can summon the dark version of that monster and then trigger that first effect. So it has a lot of like synergy in that regard. But every one of these monsters has two effects that you can activate based on the field spell you have and based on whether it was special summoned or not. So the Icos, the light version, if this card is special summoned, you can search any Dream Mirror card in your entire deck, which is incredibly good. The level 1s are certainly the best, and then as you get higher, you have more lackluster effects, but the level 1s are certainly the best. And then its quick effect is you contribute it if you have the Dream Mirror of Terror, which is the Dark Dream Mirror field spell, and then special summon a copy of Dream Mirror Mara. Mara's effect is when she's special summoned, you can special summon a Dream Mirror monster from your hand, and when she special summons that monster, it does, of course, tribute that monster's effect, which is really good. She's one of the ones you really want to go into. And then its quick effect is that you contribute it to special summon the light counterpart, which I just showed you there, and then basically search a card. And like I said, and all of these, of course, are hard once per turns. But it doesn't matter because you'll use it during your turn, during your opponent's turn, and go back and forth in a big circular loop, which is really cool. Then we play two copies of the new monster. This is the dog. You can't really play like two lights and three darks because like you know you're gonna have to summon them anyway. But yeah, this one is incredibly good because this card's incredibly good because if you special summon it by the effect of a Dream Mirror monster, you get to special summon a level 8 or lower Dream Mirror monster from your graveyard, which is just like a +1 on summon. It's even better than the one that lets you special summon from the hand, because if it's from the graveyard, it's not in your hand. You're adding recurring resources, which is really good. And then you contribute this if you have the Dark Field spell and summon the Dark Monster, which is Phantasmos, the Dream Mirror foe. And this card, when it's special summoned, it gives it basically the ability to attack directly, which is super duper lackluster. Like, it's sad that the dog, the light dog is so good, but the dark dog is just so decent. Like, it's like it does nothing on your opponent's turn, unfortunately. Then we have the level 8s. We play two copies of Morpheus, the Dream Mirror Knight. When this card's special summoned, you get to pop a card. And, of course, you can quick effect tribute it if you have the light field spell and special summon Morpheus, the White Knight. And then this card, if it's special summoned, it can't be destroyed by battle or card effect, which is incredibly beneficial. And then quick effect, like I said, it tags out into the other one if you have the appropriate field spell. Now, if you've been listening closely, I said that they contribute themselves and tag out, tributing. So you can play three copies of Diabolos, the Lord of the Lair. Basically, this card, whenever you tribute a monster, you can special summon him from your graveyard or from your hand, absolutely for free. Absolutely for free. And then you contribute a dark monster and then force your opponent to place a card from their hand to either the top or the bottom of their deck, which is like really good. So yeah, this card's basically like a free summon in this deck. You definitely want to see this card in your opening hand, because as soon as you tribute that first monster, you get to summon him for free, and then if you want to, you contribute himself. And like I said, yeah, you contribute it and then get rid. Yeah, you contribute it. And force your opponent to go through a bunch of nonsense, or you could distribute something else. So yeah, that's definitely awesome. Then we play one copy of Chaos Emperor Dragon. Uh, I play this because I'm playing Melody, and this card is searchable. And sometimes you don't want to search two Diabolos because there's no point. So sometimes you'll want to search a Diabolos and one Chaos Emperor Dragon, because Chaos Emperor Dragon is basically like a free level 8 in this deck, free 3,000 attack monster whenever you want. Because you have so many, your whole deck is light and darks. The entirety of the deck is light and darks. You put so many light and dark monsters in your graveyard so quickly that it doesn't even matter. So definitely you want to play this. And then we also play the two copies of Chaos Dragon Levianeer. Again, these are all grind game cards. They help you win games because you just get to drop 3,000 attack monsters whenever, like at your leisure. You get to drop them whenever you want. And it really helps you go for game, going second, going first. Definitely very good plays just to make. And then let's go now for the spell cards. So those were the monsters. Definitely incredibly interesting on that regard. I play 3 of this. Do not play 2 of this. I only picked up 2. I couldn't get a third one. But definitely play 3 of this. All right? You're listening to me. 3, not 2. 3. So Dream Mirror Phantasms. This card is terrific because this is like Fire Formation Tenki for the every single monster in your archetype. When this card's activated, you can add one Dream Mirror monster from your deck to your hand, which is already good, right? And then the card stays face up on the field, and if you control a Dream Mirror if a Dream Mirror of Joy is on the field, then all your monsters gain 500 attack defense, and if Dream Mirror of Terror is face up on the field, all your opponent's monsters lose 500. And in this deck, you can now easily put both field spells up, so that's like 1,000 attack spread. And this is like non-targeting attack and defense removal, which is really, really cool. And yeah, it just helps you like beat over bigger monsters, I guess you could say. It helps you, yeah, close that gap. But definitely very interesting. But the search effect was already good enough anyway. It's cool that those other effects are on there. It's basically free, and it is searchable with the first card I showed you with the Dream Mirror Sprite. So if you special summon this, then you search that, then you search another one. It's like you do so much. And then we play 2 copies of the Dream Mirror of Chaos. Sometimes this card can be a bit bricky, but I mean it's got some really good stuff going for it because it's a fusion spell that lets you summon a Dream Mirror fusion monster, which is going to be this. It's the only one we've got so far. It might be the only one that will exist forever, but right now it's the only one we've got. Basically, if you control the Dream Mirror of Joy, you can use cards in your hand in addition to that. And if you have the Dream Mirror of Terror, you can use cards from the graveyard, which is significantly better. But yeah, definitely very good. The Dream Mirror of Chaos. It's a fusion spell and it's a quick play, so you can use it during your opponent's turn. Like let's say they target one of your monsters with like an impermanence or something. You can just Dream Mirror of Joy, fuse them away, and then yeah, you Dream Mirror of Joy, fuse them away, dodge around a lot of different things, which is really cool. But yeah, it's a cool element that they added to the deck. I didn't see it coming in one like at all. Then we play 3 copies of the field spell. We play the Dream Mirror of Terror, which this card with both field spells, and this is another like cool thing about this deck, you can banish the field spell and then activate the opposite field spell from your deck. Like this is Dream Mirror of Terror. You can banish this and then directly from your deck activate Dream Mirror of Joy during your end phase. So you can like loop them out. Like let's say you end on some dark monsters, you can bring out the Dream Mirror of Joy, and then during your opponent's turn, you can go into the light monsters during your opponent's turn. So there's a lot of like random awesome synergy in this deck. It's just like it's a very fun deck to play. Like there's no other way to put it. It is probably one of the most enjoyable decks, and I can't imagine how enjoyable the Dream Mirror match must be, because both of your field spells are benefiting your opponent, both yourself and your opponent. So the mirror match in Dream Mirrors must be really, really enjoyable. And then basically this card, both field spells kind of have pretty buns effects. With this one, each time your opponent special summons, you inflict 300, which is like how many monsters do they have to special summon for you to win? Like way too many for it to even matter. But I guess like for time purposes, you can do something with this card, but I don't even like playing like that. But yeah, it's a decent. It's like not that good, but it facilitates your other plays. Then we have the Dream Mirror of Joy. This one is slightly better. Same thing. During the end phase, you can banish this and then activate a Dream Mirror of Terror from your hand or deck. And then in addition to that, you can your opponent cannot target monsters you control cannot be targeted by your opponent's card effects or their monsters' attacks except their highest level one. Which, if it just said that your monsters couldn't be targeted, that would be good. But unfortunately, it says that it has to be the highest level one. So if you only have one on the field, they can be targeted. They'll still be targeted in the graveyard. They can still be called by the grave. Like, there's so much stuff that can still happen. Like, this is very, I guess, decent. It's meant to be. It's good with Morpheus. The knight that I showed you, the Morpheus Light Knight, because it basically will create a lock where your opponent can't attack you, and Morpheus can't be destroyed. So basically, yeah, you summon Morpheus while this is on the field, and he can't be destroyed, and then he can't be targeted, and it creates a pretty positive lock there, and it protects the rest of your monsters. But those are the field spells. Then we play one copy of Terraforming because the field spells are incredibly important. They are the starters. You have to have a field spell in your hand. No exclusions, no ifs, ands, or buts. You have to have a field spell. We play one copy of Set Rotation. This card is amazing in this deck. I don't know many decks where this card is better. I maybe Tremid. If you ever heard of the Tremid archetype, it might be better in that deck. But this card is certainly very, very good in this deck. One copy of Mystic Mine because it's just another option for the Set Rotation or the Terraforming, just because sometimes you're going second, you're playing up against a board that's really, really good, and dropping a Mystic Mine can help you get over that. Play 3 copies of Melody of Awakening Dragons. This is to search the Chaos Dragon Levianeer, the Chaos Emperor Dragon, and the Darkness Diabolos Lord of the Lair. It is basically like free searches there. And then the stack is getting a little big, so I'm just going to move on. We play 3 copies of Super Polymerization. Super beneficial because, number one, we play a bunch of Super Poly targets in the extra deck. That's number one. But even better, you can actually use it to special summon your Dream Mirror monster. So it's like, it was good before, but now it's even better. And you're playing all lights and darks. So, like, a lot of the extra deck monsters that you're fusing into are the dark monsters. So you can, like, let's say you have 2 Dream Mirror monsters that are dark. You can easily go into Starving Venom if you don't want to go into the Dream Mirror monster. Like, it just has a ton of synergy with the deck overall. Super Polymerization, and it happens to be really good against the meta right now. So in that regard, there's no reason why you shouldn't be main decking this, and it's a really cheap card now. It's in the Dual Devastators box. Like, there's no reason not to play this. It's a very, very affordable card right now. Then we play in a very unaffordable card, 3 copies of Pot of Extravagance. You don't draw in this deck at all. Like, at all. There's no draw cards in this deck whatsoever. You never draw. You search sometimes. You do not draw. So this card, and in your extra deck, doesn't really matter. Like, it kind of matters, but it doesn't really matter. You can banish cards, and it's not that big of a deal. You're playing a lot of 3-ofs in your extra deck. It doesn't matter if you banish them. So yeah, this card just fits the deck like a glove. There's no reason not to play it. I'd say if you wanted an alternative, probably play Trade-In. Trade-In is probably the best alternative because you're playing a decent amount of level 8s if you don't have access to Pot of Extravagance. Because without Pot of Extravagance, this deck is extraordinarily cheap. I mean, this deck probably, the whole deck will cost you $40. Like, yeah, easily. Like, $40 might even be, I might even be overestimating when I say $40. It might even be less than that. But I'm just trying to be safe. But without the Pot of Extravagances, this deck is super cheap. Even including the extra deck, too. Then we play 3 copies of Dream Mirror, Hypnagogia, I don't know. This card is basically like Set Rotation, but it activates both of your field spells, one on your side of the field, one on your opponent's side of the field, and they are both face up. And if you've been reading the cards carefully, it says if it'll say like if the Dream Mirror of Terror is face up on the field, you can do this opposing thing. but it doesn't say on your side of the field. So you'll have one on your opponent's side of the field and one on your side of the field, and it doesn't really matter whether it's whose side of the field it's on. So you're basically getting to use double effects now. So this card just kind of like breaks everything because it lets you use both effects during both players' turns. You don't have to have one field spell. You don't have to keep banishing them and balancing them quite as much. You still have to do that. Like in the back of your head, you should be doing that during every end phase. But you don't have to do it quite as much because both of them will more than likely be face up on the field. But this is definitely a 3 of. And it's kind of like an archetype terraforming / set rotation for the deck. Then we played 2 copies of the new Dream Mirror. It's like a Solemn Judgment, man. I don't know what that says. It's like Solemn Judgment. If you have the Dream Mirror of Joy, and your opponent activates a spell or trap card, you can negate the activation, destroy that card. If you control if a Dream Mirror of Terror is face up on the field, you can, if your opponent special summons, negate the summon and destroy that monster. So either way, great effects. And if you use the previous card I just showed you, you can actually stop either one. So it's basically like a searchable Solemn Judgment that is in the archetype. And then we play 2 copies, might even cut this card altogether. But this card used to be actually the best card in the archetype, but it is no longer the best card in the archetype because unfortunately it's been a little power crept by just the new releases of other cards. But basically, if you control a Dream Mirror monster, you can target one of each of your banished Dream Mirror of Joy and Terror, which remember they banish themselves during the end phase and activate another one. And then shuffle them into the deck, and if you do, banish one card on the field, non-targeting, which is really cool. This card's searchable, like I said, through ICO, so if you really need to get to it, you can probably just search it. You might want to cut this card down to 1. And then, if a Dream Mirror cards you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish this card from the graveyard instead, so that actually protects the Dream Mirror... what's it called? It protects the Dream Mirror monsters, but outside of that, it does protect the spell and trap cards because it says Dream Mirror cards. And then what's cool is, like, let's say you activate Dream Mirror Phantasms, and since it is a, what is it called? A continuous spell, your opponent can chain MST to pop it, and then you can chain the Dream Mirror Fantasy Engrave, banish it, and this won't get popped, and you can still let your search go through. Which is it has, like, decent, cool synergy. But it has been power crept significantly. So that is the main deck. It is a lot of cards, but it is a lot of hard ones per turns. So I think it'll be just fine. And then for the extra deck, we play 3 copies of the brand new Fusion Monster. You can summon this through Dream Mirror of Chaos, or you can special summon this with Super Polymerization. Either one works fine. It's just any 2 Dream Mirror monsters with different attributes. It's also, like I said, this is why I said the Dream Mirror match is really fun. Because, number one, you have both your field spells, and you're kind of screwing each other over. And then on top of that, if you're both playing Super Poly, this card is like, Super Poly, in addition to this card, is it's just too much. Then you fuse away your opponent's cards, they can fuse away yours. It's a serious blast. But basically, while this card's face up on the field, it's also dark, so it's not only light, but dark. And then you can use each of the following effects once per turn. If another monster you control is tributed, so you're constantly tributing them, like I said, which is why we play Diabolos, you can target one card on the field and destroy it. Great effect. And then if this card in its owner's possession is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can special summon one Dream Mirror monster from your graveyard, which again, you summon the monster and then it triggers its effect. Like this card, it like ties a knot on the entire deck. Then we play 1 copy of Link Haribo, which I don't even know whether we should even be playing this. 1 copy of Borreload Furious Dragon. 2 copies of the Predaplant new monster. Basically any 3 darks. These are the rest of the whole extra deck is going to be Super Poly targets. Diplex or Chimera for cyber-based stuff like Marincess and Salamangreat. Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon for pendulums. Predaplant Dracos Stepelia. Mud Dragon for random stuff. And 3 copies of the Starving Venom Dragon, the best Super Poly target in Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now. But that is the deck. Super excited to play. Get out there and try it out. It's definitely an incredibly fun deck to play. And thank you for watching.